It's a very important occasion, and I'm incredibly honored to be with you and impart a couple of words, if I can, to help you on your path forward. And it may be too early for you to fully appreciate right now, but you will come to know in time that you've just had the gift of a world-class education, academically, intellectually, socially, emotionally. And when you go out in the world and you compete and collaborate with peers from other world-class universities and organizations, you're going to come to know that Ms. Princeton, Mr. Harvard, and Ms. Stanford have nothing on a Grady grad. So good for you. And I see this every day. I see it from other alums who talk about this as well. You are well prepared to face whatever is in front of you. And I just wanted to share a little bit about my thoughts post-Grady that would help you as you think about making your mark in the world, or as Steve Jobs would say, making a ding in the universe. But it won't be without some hard work. And so I want to just give you a little bit of perspective on what I've learned and why I think that I have every confidence you're going to light it on fire. Since leaving Grady, as the dean was kind enough to share, I've had the great fortune to build a career with a lot of global opportunities. And as a result, it means that I've spent a lot of my life on airplanes. So I'm going to use an airplane metaphor as we go through, and I'm going to leave you three things that I want to share with you today about what's happening in the world out there. Number one, even if the seatbelt light is no longer illuminated, you should keep your seatbelt fastened low and tight around your lap in case of unexpected rough air. Translation, expect constant change. Thanks to technology and this globally interconnected world that you're embarking into, that pace of change is only going to accelerate. And from Ebola to Zika to prices of oil, terrorism, the political events like Brexit or the US elections, it's increasingly hard to see what's coming around the corner. How do you plan for that? How do you organize for that, both in the organizations you're going to be employed by and you personally? And all of our modern ancestors have complained since the beginning of time that change is happening too fast, the world is moving too fast. But there's something unprecedented about the current pace of change because it's fueled by this technology that has this insatiable appetite for driving things toward this very real-time existence. And I think you've all heard just this week as our current example, there's a financial algorithm that can actually activate the markets and the stock price of a company based on the instant our president-elect tweets about said company. So that's the world that you're moving into, and it happens. It happens in a nanosecond and even less. The corporate world, 89% of the Fortune 500 that were on the list in 1955 are not even around today. They don't exist. The average lifespan of an S&P company has decreased from 65 to 12 years today. We talk a lot about the new normal in the business world, and I think in our general lives after 9/11, after the 2008 market crash, and after things like the recent spate of terrorism. But the truth is, the new normal is constant change, and that's something you're going to have to get used to embracing, because human beings abhor change. It's also why change management as a practice is booming, and they look for phenomenal communicators. So if any of you are on the job hunt, I encourage you to look in that area. But there are some upsides to this, and not to be dire or completely scary about the path of change that's ahead. People and companies are questioning a lot of their own very sacred cows. Smart organizations are willing to listen to new and different ways to do things. So while you're busy learning the ropes about how to get stuff done in your new entry-level jobs, don't be afraid to offer your opinions. Don't be afraid to suggest new ways of doing something, a fresh approach. You come with a lot more experience and a lot more relevant experience than you may know. Have confidence in that and act upon it, because you are the ones that are better suited than people who have been in the job world doing things a certain way for a very long time. The idea of spending many years learning the ropes of how to do something are gone. The new rules are being rewritten every day, and you have the opportunity to get in there and rewrite them for the next generation. And the hands-on experience you have at Grady is going to give you a huge leg up on that, and be confident in that. So flight metaphor number 2. In the event of an emergency, oxygen masks may drop from above. Put your mask on first before helping others. So translation, this is the era of individual accountability. Look after yourself first. You have to be your own best advocate in every possible way, and that has to start now. For example, very few of you are going to be employed by a single employer like many of us were, like perhaps your parents were for many years. And in fact, the data shows that you're going to have as many as 12 jobs by the time that you're 50. Employers who used to take on the mantle of training, of career pathing, of helping you learn what needs to come next are questioning some of that now if their workforce is going to turn over every couple of years. Some are not, and hopefully you will have good employers who will do that, but you need to look after your own career and be your own best advocate. You can't get comfortable in a job and feel like you will have a progression in front of you. You have to take greater control of that. You need to understand what training you need, what experiences do you have to gain for yourself to be effective. And the network of Grady alums will be your best resource there. Use them, be active in that, stay connected, and listen to what they have to say. Many of you technically won't even be employed by a company. As of the year 2020, more than 50% of the US workforce is actually going to be freelance. And the experts now have officially dubbed this, and you may have heard this, the gig economy. And that refers to the idea of white-collar professionals having a series of gigs rather than job hopping over the course of years. So before any tuition-paying parents start hyperventilating about that existence, I can assure you that actually it's a very fruitful path forward, and it is the future for a lot of people. So many of your graduates will be taking that path, but it does mean that you need to, again, advocate for yourself. You are becoming the architect of your own career, and your career is likely to look much more like a lattice than a ladder. You're going to be gaining lateral experiences as this digital world continues to evolve, and you need to be conscious of that continued learning. Another great opportunity to stay connected here at Grady. So finally, if the final metaphor, if you're seated in an exit row, I need an individual verbal response that you understand and accept your vitally important responsibility for the safety of everybody on board the aircraft. Translation, the profession that you've chosen has never been more important than it is right now. The irony of today's social and digital media explosion is that you can access anything, anywhere, anytime. Everybody has a megaphone and a microphone, and there's no shortage of conversations that you can join on any topic or any issue. But the overwhelming cacophony of voices has made it easier and sometimes a little more comforting to gravitate to the conversations that are comforting and familiar to each of us. We need editorial voices. We need trusted opinions. We need critical thinkers, modern and responsible storytellers. Communicators who will not allow us to completely misread the social sentiment of what happened in the Brexit votes and the US elections. Communicators who will revere facts, opinions based on those facts, even if we don't agree, and communicators who will not stand for the likes of fake news. You have to be the truth tellers, whether in journalism, advertising, PR, corporate, public communications. You are the ones to assure that opinions on all sides are heard and that civil discourse not only survives, but it thrives. I can think of nothing that has the greater potential to solve the most pressing issues of our times right now than the power of effective communication. Your actions can unite or divide, can simplify or obscure, can inspire or incite. And your skills you take forward from here have never been more important. We're counting on you to wield your voices, your keyboards, your visuals, your animations, your 140-word characters responsibly and thoughtfully, because it will have an impact in every possible way. So you have this awesome responsibility and one life to live, and it may feel right now like you have endless time ahead of you, and you very likely do in comparison to many of us, but you need to use it wisely. So I want to leave you with a little visual exercise, if I may. Some of you may have heard or done this before, but It's always helped me think about how I manage my life, and I offer it to you as well. So I want you to imagine a rather big, clear glass container in front of you. So everyone with me? Mind's eye, you've got a glass container. Also in front of you, several large rocks. So I want you to think about taking the rocks and filling them in the glass container until you can't put any more in. And we would say that's pretty full. But also in front of you, you've got some smaller rocks and pebbles. And so you add those to the glass container and fill in all the spaces between the big rocks until you can't put any more of those in, and it's really full. And then you've got a bit of sand on the table. And I want you to take the sand and imagine putting that and filling in every available empty open space between those big and little rocks. So there's absolutely no visual space between any of that, and it's all the way to the top, completely full. And then you've got 2 beers. And you're perked up at that one. And I want you to take the beers and imagine saturating your sand and rock mixture in the glass. And so it absorbs and maybe shrinks down a little bit, but you're able to get both the beers in there. And it's now not only fully packed, but it's soaked. So what is this all about? The container represents your life. The big rocks are the important things: your family, your friends, your health, your passions. The pebbles are the other things. They're important too: your car, your job, your home. The sand is everything else. It's the small stuff. And if you put the sand in the container before you put the rocks in, you're not going to have room for the important stuff in your life. And it's just simple physics. That's not going to happen. It's true in your life. It's true in the visual exercise. If you spend all your energy on the small stuff, the sand, you won't have time for any of the really important things that matter. So pay attention to the things in your life that are critical to your happiness. Take care of those big rocks first. Set your priorities, because everything else is just sand. So, and oh, by the way, the beers are to remind you that no matter how full your life gets, there's always room to have a beer with a friend. So don't forget that. So congratulations to you all. Be amazing, stay very connected, and thank you for letting me join you this morning.